Welcome back. Two Republicans have announced bids to try to unseat Democratic Attorney General Josh Kaul in the 2022 general election. They are UW-Madison professor Ryan Owens and Fond du Lac County District Attorney Eric Toney, who's joining us now on Upfront. Thank you for being here today. The first question really is just boil this down. What's the number one issue for your campaign?
Law enforcement. We need an attorney general that will stand with the rule of law and support our law enforcement as they've had their backs against the wall more so over the past nearly 2 years now. And I come from a law enforcement family. My dad was with our sheriff's office in Fond du Lac County for over 30 years and retired as a patrol sergeant. I've seen the sacrifices that our law enforcement has made, and I've seen my family go through those sacrifices. They've earned our trust. They've earned our support. They're entitled to due process. And I don't want bad cops out there just like anyone else. Our law enforcement doesn't want them, but we can't be condemning and convicting law enforcement without the facts like we've seen our governor do and our attorney general fail to stand up for our law enforcement. I think that's why I have over 60 law enforcement professionals throughout the state that have endorsed my campaign, including the unanimous endorsement of the Wisconsin Fraternal Order of Police that we need a prosecutor, not a politician, as our attorney general.
Are you in favor of some police reform?
Absolutely. I'm in favor of improving our police, our prosecutors, our defense attorneys, and our court system, but we can't just look at these in isolation and silos. We have to look at the entire criminal justice system as a whole because we can always find ways for improvement.
I saw one of your tweets calling the current Attorney General Josh Kaul a failure. Why did you say that?
Well, specifically talking about the state of Wisconsin Crime Lab. Josh Kaul campaigned on the crime lab and fixing it, and the report came out from Wisconsin right now that they have taken in about just under 30% less cases than Brad Schimmel did, and they're taking longer to test all of those items, whether it's ballistics, DNA, fingerprints, the things that prosecutors like me use in the courtroom and our law enforcement use to help identify suspect and keep our communities safe. And I'm the only frontline prosecutor in this race that's actually used the resources of the Wisconsin Crime Lab in the prosecution of cases. That's the type of experience we need at the Attorney General's office, somebody that has personally used those resources, understand what it takes, what goes into them, and how to best deploy those resources. I also serve as the president-elect of the Wisconsin District Attorneys Association, where I've been recognized as a leader amongst my peers. And our Attorney General has never utilized those resources to personally prosecute a case here in Wisconsin, and we are seeing the consequences of his inexperience.
And that report you're talking about, I mean, that does come from a right-leaning website.
So that report took all of the documents from the Attorney General's website. And so if anyone were to look through the reports, they would see where that information came from. And it was from Josh Kaul's own Department of Justice as far as where those numbers came from.
And some fellow Republicans aren't happy that at the beginning of the pandemic, you filed charges against people for violating the governor's stay-home order. How do you respond? That's criticism from your own party.
You know, I follow the rule of law. The rule of law is not always popular, but as a conservative and Republican, that's what we do. We follow the rule of law. And when that Safer at Home order came out, that was from Section 252 of the Wisconsin statutes that was passed by a legislator and signed by a governor many decades ago. That was the rule of law at the time, but we didn't convict anyone, we didn't jail anyone, we didn't fine anyone, we didn't shut down any businesses. Every single one of those cases was dismissed at my direction. I also started a task force called Reopen Fond du Lac, where we brought our public health, our private health, and our business community and local officials together to give our businesses the tools and resources to either stay open or reopen. And that was in April of 2020, and that task force still meets today to give those resources to the business. And on top of that, when the governor's mask mandate came out in July of 2020, I evaluated the law. I sent a letter to my public health officer and law enforcement saying that was an unlawful extension of the governor's emergency authority, that if a governor could just keep issuing those type of orders, a legislator could never get ahead of him. And so we did not enforce the mask mandate. But what I didn't do was send that public or make a press conference out of it, because I wasn't going to play politics with public safety or public health like we've seen our Attorney General do.
Well, as a potential Attorney General, I do think it's important to ask you about the election investigations. There are several going on in Wisconsin right now. What's your opinion on them?
So one thing that the election in 2020, there's no investigation that's going to overturn it. The Electoral College has made its decision. Joe Biden is the president. I have not seen anything that would overturn the Wisconsin election results. William Barr, President Trump's Attorney General, has said that there was no mass voter fraud that would overturn the election. But one thing that's very important is to make sure that every ballot in Wisconsin is treated and counted the same. And we know that's not happening in Wisconsin based on the confusion with the law, with absentee ballots, ballots or drop boxes in the park based on the law saying if the absentee ballot certificate is not completed, the vote may not be counted.
So are you in favor of taxpayers paying for these investigations?
I don't think it will overturn the election. What we need to focus on is moving forward and identifying what have been done, some of the issues that have caused the confusion in the law, to make sure that clerks and everybody in Wisconsin's ballots are treated and counted the same, with a focus on looking forward.
Okay. Eric Toney, candidate for Attorney General. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Attorney General Josh Kaul has filed suit to remove the chairman of the Natural Resources Board. Fred Prain's term ended May 1st, and Governor Evers appointed a replacement. But Prain refuses to leave, saying it's legal for him to stay until the state Senate confirms his successor. The Senate has scheduled no hearings for Evers' appointee. Now legislative Republicans are coming to Prain's defense. Leaders are asking lawmakers to sign on to defend Prain in the lawsuit. All of this litigation will be done at taxpayers' expense. Our editorial partner, WisPolitics.com, has the full story. You'll find that at WisPolitics.com and by following WisPolitics on Twitter. Next, another state legal battle, this one over redistricting.